back like we never left. It's Double Move Sports. I'm Stef Albiero. I'm here with Alex Lott. Let's run this mock, man. We're not doing anything crazy today. We're just running it normal, standard. Well, not a standard league, but a standard mock. We're not going to draft from the turns. We're not going to do anything crazy. It's just going to be a 12-team PPR mock draft. If you want to hear us go in depth on some of the players that we're going to break down on today's show, go check out our channel, our episodes that we drop every single week. We break those up into clips. If you don't want to go through an entire hour-long podcast, we're giving you guys everything. Alex, you ready to jump into it?
There's options. It's an options world. We're giving you options to watch the full pod, to watch the clips, to watch both if you just want to hear it twice.
Hey, and film breakdowns.
So yeah, go check those
film
out.
breakdowns on YouTube.
Oh,
and
the film breakdowns are nice. The film breakdowns are fun. Get to watch it, guys, tape a little bit and figure out what it means for fantasy based on what they did last season. We're going to be doing a lot of those in season as well as we start to see which players are on the field, what their targets look like, what their carries look like. So a lot of stuff's coming through. It's draft season. We're going full steam ahead. And Steph said we're not going to draft on the turns. Well, this is going to be random draft position, 12-team PPR, quarterback, 2 running back, 2 receiver, flex, tight end, and defense, and 6 bench. So watch you get the number 1 pick. Oh, so we're in the middle. This is great. Looks like you got pick number 5, and I got pick number 8. So I think I'd much rather be where you are. You might sneak one of those elite running backs if Thomas goes in the top 4. But at pick 8, I might have a tough decision to make in round 1.
I'm guessing the first 4 picks are going to be McCaffrey, Saquon, Zeke, and Kamara.
Ooh.
And it was. So, look, just the way this year has gone, we can talk about this. It's the meta this year is running back. I'm sticking to that. I'm going to try to take this as real as I possibly can.
You're staring Michael Thomas in the face.
Dude, I can't do it. When the guys at the – like, Allen Robinson right now is going early 3rd round. So if I know I can get Allen Robinson later and stack up on bell cow workhorse running backs that are going to get passing work, touchdown volume.
They're going to eat.
Let's see who's here at running back. Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Joe Mixon, Kenyon Drake.
Oh, I think I know who you're taking. I think I know. We'll see. I'll tell you if I'm right or not. After you pick.
I'm not going to reach on CEH here. You want me to, and I'm not going to. I'm going to go Dalvin Cook.
I think that's the right pick. I probably would have taken Michael Thomas, but if you're going running back, I cannot fault you for Dalvin there. If he's on the field, he's going to be a top 5 back. So
all I got to know is that I'm taking Alexander Madison probably in the 9th round, hopefully 10th round in an ideal scenario, but probably the 9th just a hedge. So now back to you. After I took Dalvin Cook, there goes Michael Thomas, there goes Derrick Henry, and now it's the 108. Alex is on the board. Who you taking?
Wow, this is tough. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is sitting there. It's really between Devontae Adams and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We've preached so much running back early this year. There's so many receivers to pick up later on. I'm tempted to go ahead and snag Devontae Adams, who this is a bit of a hot take, but I have him as my number 1 wide receiver. And actually, I have Joe Mixon, CEH, Aaron Jones, and Kenyon Drake kind of all within the same, 5-10 point projection. So I think if I go Devontae Adams here, it feels early at the 108. I'm trying to think who has a better chance to make it back to me, Devontae Adams or one of these tier 1 running backs. And I think if I pick Adams, I can get Helaire, Mixon, or Drake in round 2. So this is tough. I'm going to take my gamble.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to go CEH. You talked me into it, Steph. I took CEH. I did not get my guy in Devontae Adams, but hopefully I can still get one of those tier 1 receivers in round 2.
That's pure pressure to a T right there.
Yes, absolutely. So after CEH, guess who went next? Devontae Adams.
Of course.
Wow, I kind of regret it now.
No.
This would have been a fun mock to see how that... Dude, this is a mock draft. I'm not being held against this for a whole season. I would have loved to see what happens with Adams at the 108. After CEH went Adams, Drake, Hill, and Mixon. And then in round 2, Aaron Jones, Miles Sanders, Julio, and DeAndre Hopkins. So I'm back on the clock, and the quarterbacks are there, the tight ends are there, the 2 elite at each of those positions. I'm probably going to steer clear of those. At receiver, I can choose between Godwin, Allen Robinson, or Kenny Galladay. Or at the running back spot, Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs all on the board. I really like some of those running backs as my RB2. And when I look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he is a very high upside guy. He's going to get a lot of work in the receiving game. I expect him to score a lot of touchdowns. And the guy in this tier of running back that I think has the safest volume is Josh Jacobs. I can't see a world where
Wow.
Josh Jacobs isn't 250 plus carries this year. There's no other threats for carries in that backfield. Maybe the receiving work is lower. But even Nick Chubb, there's Kareem Hunt concerns. I think Chubb's great and he'll be fine. But then Austin Eckler, we don't know what that Chargers offense is going to look like. And if I had a more stable bell cow as my RB1, I might lean Eckler here. But just knowing I have CEH, I'm going to lock in the pure volume play with Josh Jacobs and give me a steadier RB2. He doesn't quite have the upside. But with CEH as my RB1, I feel like I have plenty of upside at the running back position. So I'm going to lock in Josh Jacobs here as my RB2.
Yeah, I like that a lot, man. I do. And like people are fading Jacobs in some, I don't even know, some bizarro world because Lynn Bowden and all these other pieces were brought in. They extended Jalen Richard. None of that worries me at all for Josh Jacobs. And you're essentially
Absolutely.
like, this is what you're saying. You're drafting him knowing that it is a pure volume play. If the passing work comes in, which Mike Mayock and John Gruden have said that they're trying to get Jacobs more involved in the passing game. If it happens, it happens, and now you got, I mean, the upside is there with both CEH and Josh Jacobs. If the Raiders take a step up with Henry Ruggs on the outside, I think he's going to get a lot of good looks underneath, and if he is as explosive at the pro level as we all expect him to be, that should only make things easier. Josh Jacobs faced a lot of 8-man fronts last year, so not going to be able to stack the box as much with those weapons they now have, and Bryan Edwards is no slouch too. I like him a lot. So now after you took Josh Jacobs, it was Travis Kelce and Chris Godwin. Both of those were taken. And my fingers were crossed here that none of the running backs would be taken that I was looking at. Now it's between Austin Eckler and Nick Chubb. Man, actually, it's funny. I dropped a poll on our Twitter. Guys, go follow us at Double Move Sport if you have not done that yet. I said, which running back combo would you guys like the most? And there were a couple different options in there. I remember one was Kamara and Gurley. Another one was Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb. And that's what I'm going to go with here. I believe the Cook and Chubb combo won that poll. And so I'm here for the people. And I totally agree. Nick Chubb is as safe as they come. So to kind of mitigate the risk that comes with Dalvin Cook's injury concerns, shoulder, knee, other issues that he's had, as opposed to worrying about that, I just want a safe, stable option. Could end up being the rushing yards leader if he is the true one and isn't splitting a ton of carries with Kareem Hunt, was still almost getting 18 carries a game with Hunt in there last year. And I expect Stefanski to pick his guy and just roll with it. We're not seeing Dalvin Cook split the ball a ton when Stefanski was at Minnesota. So I'm going to take Nick Chubb there. I'm going to feel good about it. I know a lot of people are fading him at that ADP because he doesn't get the passing work, but he's going to get the goal line touches. I think he'll score a little bit more this year. So I'm going to take Nick Chubb there to stack with Dalvin Cook and feel really good about two essentially workhorse running backs that I'm getting
both
early.
of us going running back, and we'll see what receivers fall to us here in rounds 3 and 4. But after Chubb went Allen Robinson, the guy you mentioned, who has been falling around 3 in some places, but he goes to the 209, then Odell, Mahomes, and Austin Eckler, and then in round 3, Robert Woods. That ADP is starting to climb up a little bit with Robbie Woods.
Sheesh.
He's not so much of a value anymore. I'll still be happy to take him at the end of round 3 or in round 4 this year. But Robert Woods, Mike Evans, George Kittle, and Lamar Jackson start round 3. So, Steph, you're back on the clock, and there's still some pretty good options here. There's, if you wanted to stack running backs, Gurley's on the board, and somehow Kenny G and Juju Smith-Schuster are still available.
Oh, man. I really – there's a few very appealing names here at the running back spot, but I've already gone running back. I'm not trying to have to start Keenan Allen as my wide receiver 1 or rely on Tyler Lockett to do it for me on a weekly basis. Even like Cooper Kupp, we've had a continuous debate on Double Move Sports about Cooper Kupp. I don't want to have to even deal with any of the headaches that may come with that. So I'm going to go Kenny Golladay and just lock in a surefire wide receiver 1.
That's the right pick.
Had the most touchdowns last year. And right now we have him in our census rankings as the wide receiver 7. So that feels really good to get him as my 1 here. So I'm going to grab Kenny G. And after I took Kenny G to pair with Dalvin Cook and Nick Chubb, it was Zach Ertz, Leonard Fournette. And I'm back to you, Alex, with CEH and Josh Jacobs on your roster right now. Who are you looking at here in the mid to late 3rd round?
This is full PPR, but Todd Gurley is still on the board. Stacking 3 running backs is not a terrible idea in the first 3 rounds in a 12-team league. So I'm almost tempted to go with Todd Gurley and stack 3 stud running backs, but Juju's there, DJ Moore. I like Amari Cooper a lot this year. So I'm going to go ahead and get my wide receiver one. It's going to be Amari Cooper. I've been rising on Cooper throughout the offseason. I think his upside is a top 3 guy.
Wow.
He's my wide receiver 8 right now. So I'm really high on Cooper if he can stay healthy and stay out on the field this season. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in. He was actually a top 10 receiver last year and was under 120 targets. So he played less snaps than Michael Gallup, and he was still a top 10 guy. So if he wouldn't have been bothered by those injuries, I know he didn't actually miss any games, but I can't help but think something was going on to keep him from getting out on the field. So I'm going to lock in Amari Cooper in what should be a very explosive and exciting offense this year in Dallas.
In our consensus rankings right now, we have Amari Cooper as the wide receiver 8, and we've talked about it time and time again how all three between Cooper, Gallup, and Lamb can all absolutely eat this year. So I don't mind that pick at all. And after you took Cooper, it was DJ Moore, Mark Andrews, Adam Thielen, Cooper Kupp, David Johnson, Juju Smith-Schuster fell to the 4th round, Calvin Ridley at the 403, and then Todd Gurley
He
at
almost
the
got back.
404.
That would have been nice if Todd would have got back.
That would have been so nice. But especially as a way to hedge against CEH potentially getting worked in slowly. Who are you looking at here? Are you looking at wide receiver 2 at this point?
Yeah, there's a lot of running backs that I wouldn't mind as my RB3. You know, Carson, Gordon, Connor, Bell, Taylor, Montgomery. So I'm going to wait on running back. I think one of those guys, I'm kind of taking a gamble here, but I think one of them can get back to me. And at the receiver spot, I would love to lock in one of these guys as my wide receiver 2. Tons of options. A.J. Brown, DJ Chark, Tyler Lockett, McLaurin, Keenan Allen, Devontae Parker. So I'm just going to go straight off my rankings here for my wide receiver 2. And it looks like I actually have Tyler Lockett the highest of the guys we have left. I do have I have McLaurin up there with Chark, Lockett, and A.J. Brown, which is a bit of a hot take, but I think he has a little bit more risk baked in. He's probably the most likely to get back to me of that group. I don't expect it to happen, but as a wide receiver 2, I'm going to go ahead and lock in Tyler Lockett. No pun intended there. But he's a great wide receiver, too. He's proven he's got a huge rapport with Russell Wilson. I know there's DK Metcalf rumblings going on this season, but I expect Tyler Lockett to be a fairly safe and consistent player this year with the big game upside. So Lockett as my wide receiver 2, along with Cooper, Josh Jacobs, and CEH, is a great start to this roster.
Yeah, it feels good. I'm glad you didn't take DJ Chark. Hopefully he falls to me, and he does. So after you took Tyler Lockett, it was A.J. Brown, Chris Carson.
Beautiful. They're back-to-back in my rankings, so it was close.
Well, there's Chark, and that's a layup for me. Still some good running backs here. Melvin Gordon. Like, if Chark was gone, I would very seriously consider Gordon. But I just love Chark this year as the 2020 version of Devontae Parker on the Dolphins last season, where there's just plenty of garbage time, a lot of funneled volume directly to him. He's really the first and second read for Gardner Minshew. I do have high hopes for Laviska Shenault, but I'm not going to project him to come in and be great right away, especially in this shortened offseason, weird COVID year. So I'm going to grab DJ Chark there with the touchdown upside, the yardage upside, the volume upside. Every single upside, he has it. So I'm locking him in. And
he's got all the upsides. He's got all sides.
I put my stamp of approval on DJ Chark. I dropped a fantasy film room on him and Gardner Minshew. Go check that out if you have not. But I got the film to back this stuff up. So I love DJ Chark.
I like it. So after you took DJ Chark, we saw Keenan Allen go off the board, Le'Veon Bell, Cortland Sutton, and DK Metcalf. I'm not drafting Allen anywhere. I'm not big on him this season. And then in round 5, Devontae Parker, Melvin Gordon, T.Y. Hilton, and James Conner. And Steph, you're right back on the clock.
So I got, as of right now, Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, Kenny Golladay, DJ Chark. So it's at the 505, 2 running backs, 2 receivers. Anyone is available for me. Jonathan Taylor is staring me down. I'm here in the 5th round. He'd be the 22nd running back off the board. Mark Ingram's there, David Montgomery, Kareem Hunt.
Love JT as an
Singletary.
RB3. Absolutely love it.
I know you love it, you dirty Colts homer. But I think I am going to take the flyer on JT to stack with that Cook-Chubb RB combo that I have. If something happens to Cook, let's say it's later in the season, the wear and tear finally gets to him, like it has every single season that he's been a workhorse back in Minnesota, then hopefully by that time, the Jonathan Taylor explosion has occurred. He's broken out. And now, I have the upside to have 3 RB1s You know what I mean? So I'm going to take Jonathan Taylor there over Terry McLaurin, over Stephon Diggs, over Tyler Boyd.
It's low risk since you already have two running backs on your roster. You can give him time to get worked up, put someone else in your flex in the meantime as he does get ramped up into the offense. And who knows, if he takes over by week 8, you could have an RB1 for the second half of the season. So I love the pick, especially when you're not having to rely on him from week 1 with the weird offseason, and maybe it takes him longer to get ramped up. So the JT pick there as a running back 3 is awesome, and you're going to make my decision a little bit easier because I was deciding between 2 guys here, and you're going to take one of them off the board.
I think the other one, I think I know who it's going to be. Part of me just wants to wait and grab DeAndre Swift, who I think has just as good of a chance to totally break out and dominate this year as Jonathan Taylor does. We'll see what happens on the comeback. Maybe I can get Swift as well and stack the rookie combos. But I'm going to take JT here just for that monster upside and hedging against Dalvin Cook a little bit.
And right after JT went the guy I was going to take.
Tough scene. So after Jonathan Taylor, it was Terry McLaurin and Darren Waller. And now back to you at the 56th overall pick in this mock. It's at the 508. You're just like me, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, CEH, Josh Jacobs, Amari Cooper, Tyler Lockett. So anyone's available for you. Who are you looking at here at the 508 spot?
Really 2 to 3 running backs I like here as my RB3, and there's probably 5 or 6 wide receivers. David Montgomery's there. I like Kareem Hunt a lot as an RB3. And then Ronald Jones. It might be a little bit of a reach at this point, but I still like him as well. I think he could get back, though. I have Jones and Montgomery back-to-back in my rankings. And at the receiver spot, I love A.J. Green or Julian Edelman as a flex. They're both very different players. A.J. Green is if you're going for that upside. Julian Edelman is if you want a safe flex. Given that I have players like CEH and Amari Cooper who could be a little bit volatile this season, even Tyler Lockett to an extent, I might lean Edelman there over A.J. Green. So this is a tough choice. First, I got to figure out what position I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go ahead and lock in David Montgomery. He's a pretty safe lock for volume this season. I can't imagine him getting less than 250 carries. So between Jacobs and Montgomery, just absolutely getting usage in the backfield. And anything in the receiving game is going to be a bonus. I feel really good at the running back spot. So I'm going to lock in Montgomery, see what receiver makes it back.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. There was plenty of touches, both through the air and on the ground, in Chicago last year. And, Nick Foles, if he takes over, I think that just helps Montgomery. It could help him in the passing game. I think he'll be more relied upon if Foles comes in because Trubisky does have wheels. He's been decent in terms of rushing yardage. And, the Bears traded up to grab David Montgomery. They want to use him. We know rookies don't always pan out. And so if you're calling for a breakout, I don't mind David Montgomery relative to that ADP that you just got him at. So nice pick. After you took Monty, it was Singletary, Deshaun Watson, Raheem Mostert, Russell Wilson, Stephon Diggs, Kyler Murray, Jarvis Landry, Dak Prescott. So this kind of this tier here of the Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott realm, the guys that do provide rushing, they're on efficient offenses, they have great arms as well. They're typically going in the 5th, 6th round. I haven't found myself with many of them because I just love waiting at a quarterback. But if this is one of your guys, you want to call the shot, you're probably going to have to reach in the 5th round if you want one of those names. But Alex, who are you looking at here after going David Montgomery? It looks like both your guys in A.J. Green and Julian Edelman made it back. I would go Green here.
Yeah, I think I've kind of changed my mind here. I know there is some volatility in my lineup, but look, we're in the 6th round. I'm not playing to get 3rd. I'm playing to win a league, and I do like Edelman as a flex if he happens to fall to me there. But I think about Jamison Crowder, Golden Tate, some of those players who could get close to the baseline that Edelman is going to have this season. So I'm going to take the upside shot on A.J. Green here. If he stays healthy with Joe Burrow, he could easily be a wide receiver 1. So I'm going to go ahead and lock in Green. I think later on in this draft, I can shore up the wide receiver spot with a Crowder or a Tate, like I mentioned, or maybe even a Randall Cobb deep in the draft. So there's other receiver options I can use as high floor plays. So I'm going to lock in A.J. Green and roll the dice.
A.J. Green has recorded over 100 targets in every season he's played except for 2018 when he missed half the season. If he's there, he's going to be great. Everyone's saying that, everyone's acting like A.J. Green is the same age as a Julian Edelman or like a Larry Fitzgerald. He's not anywhere near that. He's 32 years old. I believe the drop-off is something like 34, 35, maybe even a little later. We've seen names like Andre Johnson have monster seasons at that age. We've seen guys like, help me out
Larry Fitzgerald.
Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, he's not going to be like a wide receiver one, but he's getting it done. It's not like he's walking around with a walker.
I mean, when he was AJ Green's age, he was like in his prime, it feels like. Larry Fitzgerald is the Frank Gore of the wide receiver position, and I love it. But let's move on, Steph. After AJ Green, back-to-back went Tyler Boyd, his own teammate. I think you probably would have locked in Boyd there if he would have fell to you. And then, this sucks for you,
Him
man.
or
You
Swift.
talked about Swift making it back to you.
Man.
I know you love Boyd at the receiver spot, then Swift goes at the running back spot. So you're back on the clock here at the 6:08. I feel like I know who you're going to pick here, but you proved me wrong earlier, so we'll see what to do. I'll leave it to you.
I mean, if Boyd or Swift admitted to me, they were instant grabs here in the 6th round. At wide receiver, I'm looking at your boy Edelman, who I don't feel like I need for the roster that I have. Marquise Brown, Michael Gallup, Marvin Jones, Will Fuller, Brandon Cooks, Jamison Crowder, Christian Kirk. So to me, there's a massive tier drop off after these last couple receivers.
Yeah, you got to take a receiver here, in my opinion.
I do, and I really like the prospects on Hollywood Brown this year.
There it is. I knew it. I finally got one. I'm 1 for 1. Keeping score against myself. It's the honor system.
It's not like I've been particularly quiet about my love for a Hollywood Brown breakout this year. I did a full film room on him as well. So I got both my guys in Chark and Hollywood Brown here. I feel great about the volume increasing. Brown just being better overall as a player. He's put on some weight. All reports have been positive. And if for any reason the Ravens aren't as dominant on the ground, Brown will be the one there. I know it's the lowest target volume in the league, but with the damage that he's doing in the end zone, he had 7 touchdowns last year, scored on 10% of his targets, which was number 1 in the league, or I believe it's first or second, something like that. So I'm going to lock in Marquise Brown as an upside play, weekly flex
Steph,
option.
Before you make the pick, unless you already have.
I have not.
I just want to take a look at this board. Make the pick here in a second, but I want to freeze this board for a second because we haven't brought this up, but to me, this is kind of no man's land in terms of quarterbacks. I think there's a clear tier break between Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, and then I think there's another break after the next 4. Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Kyler, and Dak, if you want to take a stab at them. But to me, picking Josh Allen or Matt Ryan or Carson Wentz here in round 6 or 7, when there's values like A.J. Green and Hollywood Brown and DeAndre Swift and Jonathan Taylor on the board, just doesn't make sense to me. I'd much rather take a shot at a receiver or a running back because at the quarterback spot, if you don't take a quarterback here, if you just wait, you're going to end up with, Stafford, Brady, Aaron Rodgers, or Daniel Jones, or even Cam, Big Ben. There's so many names that go on. And I don't see Josh Allen or Matt Ryan being that big of an upgrade from some of the names you can just grab in double-digit rounds. So these rounds here in the middle, I think, are super important to take some upside shots on these middle round wide receiver 3s and running back 3s because those are the kind of guys that are going to win you your league. So I'm never a fan of just taking a middle and quarterback option. We did a mock recently that we didn't get to put out because we talked about Darius Tice a lot, unfortunately, and then the news came out.
Rip.
And it kind of shot the whole mock. But I took Matt Ryan in these dead rounds, and Steph brought it up to me and said, that didn't make any sense. And it's something I don't normally do. I just wanted to see what happened. And it really hurt my overall roster. So I just want to call that out. To me, if you're not going to take one of those top-tier guys, you're better off just completely waiting until the end.
And there's so much value at quarterback. There's so much value at quarterback.
There's so many guys.
Man. Like we talked about Teddy Bridgewater. Hopefully I end up with him in this mock. He's a guy that you can just grab, stream him week 1 against the Raiders, see what happens. If he sucks, you drop him, you pick up somebody else.
Yeah, check it out.
Same thing with like a Kirk Cousins, a Gardner Minshew. So, yeah, I love the late quarterback approach here, and you kind of called it out. Very well done. I don't like the Matt Ryan, Josh Allen, Carson Wentz, Drew Brees guys at the ADP. I love them at value.
Not that we don't think they're going to be good.
And we've seen it so many times in the double-digit rounds. How many times have we been able to get a Carson Wentz or a Drew Brees sitting here in round 10, round 11, round 12? Like, it just – I got Aaron Rodgers in the 13th. Like, why not wait a few rounds and get all these guys that could pop off at the more scarce position? So I love it. Like I said, I'm taking the Hollywood Brown pick. You kind of threw a wrench in my flow.
Sorry.
So
Reminder,
I'm gonna
Hollywood
take
Brown,
Hollywood.
round 6.
And after I took him, Edelman did go. And then it was Michael Gallup, Brandon Cooks, Hunter Henry, Drew Brees, Marvin Jones, Tom Brady, Will Fuller, So both the Houston receivers went, Brady and Breeze, guys we just talked about as guys you could probably wait on. They both went, which means even more value now because now more teams have quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are going to fall even farther, and hopefully a name like Carson Wentz is there for me in the 10th. But let's see who is on the board. I got 3 running backs, 3 receivers. Not really looking at tight end yet because this is the part of every single mock, it feels like, and every live draft I've done where the Evan Ingram, Tyler Higbee, Jared Cook tier is just there, and they're going to be there for the next 4 rounds. So I'm going to wait on them.
There was just some super loud thunder where I am. So if you heard that, I'm sorry, but it just startled me. So anyway, carry on.
Well, carry on. I'll grab him later. But Mark Ingram is sitting here for me. I like him a lot. I do have concerns. We all have concerns with the J.K. Dobbins draft pick.
He should be stable.
But
I mean,
he's finished as a running back 5 out of the last 6 years. Like, I just don't see a massive drop-off occurring. I think we can all project a drop-off. But, I mean, this is the Ravens, man. Best running offense in football. Most efficient offense in football. There's going to be touchdown volume. I think Ingram will be getting most of that. And, for having Jonathan Taylor there, I like Mark Ingram to kind of hedge against that. To where I got the early season veteran that'll lead the charge early, and then I got the Jonathan Taylor that'll have that massive breakout late. So I'm going to go with that, kind of this, some people call it like, I know Roto Underworld, so it's like robust RB type of strategy. Just get a couple different ones, hedge all of them against each other. And so I'll probably chill on running back for a bit after this. Maybe if some values fall to me, sure.
Yeah, I don't mind that one bit.
You're an Ingram hater, and I'm in the 7th round.
I don't mind that one bit. I mean, you did go back-to-back Raven. So after Mark Ingram, we did see those 2 quarterbacks go off the board, Team 6 and Team 7. What are you doing? Josh Allen, Matt Ryan go back-to-back. So I'm back on the clock, and like Steph, at this point in the draft, I have 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers going into this 7th-round pick. So everything's really open for me, and I think there has been the tier break at receiver. I'm not really ready to pick Jamison Crowder here. I think there could be some more running back depth out there for me. And then there's tight ends as well. I've been a big believer in Tyler Higbee this offseason, and we saw that ADP creep up. It felt like he was going in the 5th and 6th round there for a week or so, and it looks like it has settled back down a bit. So I'm thinking about Higbee here in the 7th round. I also like Hayden Hurst quite a bit if I wanted to wait on tight end and hope that one of those 2 gets back to me. So at the running back spot, Kareem Hunt is just a screaming value here. Ronald Jones is still available as well.
Cam Akers.
So I like Ronald Jones and Kareem Hunt leaps and bounds above Akers. I'm willing to take the shot on him, but not when these other 2 guys are on the board. So really, ideally here with this pick and my next round pick, I would get Higbee or Hurst at tight end and then Hunt or Ronald Jones at running back. Now it's just playing the system and thinking which one is going to get back to me. So this is really tricky. I'm going to go with Tyler Higbee here because I haven't gotten him very often, and he's here at the 708, which is where I'm comfortable with Higbee. And I've been a big believer, so I got to put my money where my mouth is. And let's just hope that Jones or Kareem Hunt makes it back.
Well, after you took Higbee there, your guy, that's another fantasy film room plug, man. We're putting it all together. Everything's coming full circle. After you took Tyler Higbee, it was Kareem Hunt, Cam Akers. I'm surprised you didn't consider Akers there. I guess you're just not that bullish on him overall. And, I mean, he will be in a nasty running back by committee, at least to start the season. We'll see if he breaks out. We'll see if this Hard Knocks hype that's about to pick up on the Akers train. Emmanuel Sanders, Deontay Johnson. I hate that Emmanuel Sanders pick. We've had a lot of questions about him in our comments. He's a floor play. I don't want to take a floor play at the 7-11. Why not wait and get a Golden Tate in the 11th, 12th? I mean, even a guy like, who else is? I mean, Jamison Crowder is still there. Like, you took Sanders over Crowder. It makes no sense to me. Then it was Deontay Johnson, Christian Kirk, John Brown, James White, Darius Slayton. So back to you, and Cam Akers is still there. You just took your tight end. Ronald Jones is still there. Sterling Shepard's there. Where are you going to go with this one? Evan Ingram's still there. Not saying you should, but he's still there.
I'm going with Ronald Jones. I said it last round. I want Hunter Jones and Higbee or Hurst, and Jones made it back, so I'm going to lock him in as my RB4, but I actually have him as an RB2 this year. I think the upside is huge with that offense. He's a huge double-digit touchdown candidate for me this year. I don't know how involved he'll be in the passing game, but I think he's going to get enough work on the ground and a good offense to be well worth this pick here in the 8th round. So I'm going to lock up Ronald Jones as my RB4 and shift my focus back to receiver here for a little bit in the next couple rounds.
Yeah, mid-round league winner that you're pulling the trigger on in Ronald Jones. Right now in our census rankings, he is the RB24, so right there at the very bottom. He was the RB25 last year, so he should finish well above that. I still have him. I'm projecting for him to finish at RB28. Might need to bump him up a little bit. The upside is certainly there, though. You have him as the 20. That feels better.
After Jones, Deebo Samuel, and Steelers D. A little reach there on Pittsburgh. But Steph, you're back on the clock. You've got 4 running backs, 3 wide receivers. So, again, really every position is available for you here. Where are you going to go?
Couple different options here. Running back, Tariq Cohen, Matt Breida, Jordan Howard, J.K. Dobbins. I wish I didn't grab Mark Ingram so I could grab J.K. Dobbins. And then it's Jamison Crowder, Sterling Shepard, Anthony Miller, Mike Williams, CeeDee Lamb, Golden Tate, Jerry Jeudy. Evan Ingram. What round are we in? The 8th round? Evan Ingram's still there.
It's a value.
He's appealing.
That's a value.
It is, but I still feel way better calling my shots later. What I'm going to do instead is grab Sterling Shepard. We all, at least me and you, expect a breakout from Daniel Jones, even if he is the new Jameis Winston throwing a million interceptions and having a million fumbles. That shouldn't matter for Sterling Shepard. So Shepard last year when everybody's on the field, I've said it time and time again. It's like my go-to with Shepard when it comes to analysis. When everybody was on the field and healthy, he was the alpha wide receiver 1. It just comes down to health, but I do like him as a weekly flex option. If Hollywood Brown, for whatever reason, isn't cutting it, this is another guy that I want to have on my roster that I could still plug in. And maybe this offense now with Joe Judge, Jason Garrett, I don't know how bullish I am on this offense as a whole. There's still a lot of questions in New York, but if there's going to be garbage time and Danny Dimes going to be slinging it, I like Sterling Shepard as an option.
Not bad.
So I'm going to grab him.
Let's see who goes off the board. Cohen, Breida, Jamison Crowder, J.K. Dobbins, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Howard, CeeDee Lamb, and there goes Evan Ingram at the 904. I don't mind that value one bit, even though I'm kind of out on Ingram this year. So, Steph, you're back on the clock. 4 running backs, 4 receivers. Is it Alexander Madison time, or are you going to risk that he gets back to you in the 10th? Because there's a good chance I could take him in the 10th round before you.
I hate you so much. And what was it? I think it was the 14-team mock that we did, and you literally sniped Madison, and I hated you for like a week.
Here's the thing: if you take Dalvin, you're gonna have a target on your back as someone who's gonna reach for Alexander Madison. So you got to watch out. There's vultures out there. Out there. You got to take him here.
I hate this. It's such a reach.
Hayden Hurst is on the board in the 9th round, though. That's like a great tight end value, in my opinion. If I knew Hurst would be available here, I might not have taken Higbee 2 rounds ago.
Yeah, that is a value. Especially with the upside that Hurst presents in, a super pass-heavy offense. The Austin Hooper role had a ton of value last year, and I don't necessarily, I'm not head over heels in love with the talent of Austin Hooper. So I think Hurst could slide into that. Matt Ryan had a lot of good things to say about Hurst. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed on Hurst, and I'm going to do the smart move, the risk-averse move, and just grab Madison. I hate it because I would much rather take a flyer name, but I want the handcuff. I know some people say...
That's what happens when you take Dalvin Cook. You're giving away your 9th round pick when you take Dalvin Cook. So I think that's the right thing to do. Doesn't feel great, especially when you see some of the upside exciting names on the board here. Even though we are, getting pretty deep, it's tough, but you sign up for it when you take Dalvin in the 1st round.
So after I took Madison, it was Sony Michel and Tevin Coleman. Let's talk about Sony Michel for a quick second here. The reports have been all negative.
Delete him from your draft board.
That's really what I'm kind of going to at this point. And then they signed Lamar Miller. The Patriots did. Believe that was yesterday night, and it's just another major red flag. The Patriots are literally telling us by their roster moves.
Well, yesterday night from when we're recording this. By the time you're watching, it was probably like 4 nights ago.
Sure.
Who knows when we'll get this mock out?
Sure. I am pumping them out quick, man. I am.
Yeah, you've been going off.
But anyways, Sony Michel, take him off your draft board. Tevin Coleman, I like the value in the 9th. If he happens to get more carries, if anything happens to Raheem Mostert, he'll have tons of value. We saw it in the playoffs. Who are you looking at here, Alex, at the 908?
As tempted as I am, here's one of those things. I played the draft game and took Higbee. I'm happy with Higbee in the 7th, but if I would have known Hurst was going to be here in the 9th, wow, I probably would have waited and taken another value earlier on. So I said it when I took A.J. Green that I'm going to come back with a safe wide receiver 3, and Golden Tate's on the board. He actually was better than people give him credit for last season in New York. When he played, he was a very serviceable wide receiver 2. So I'm going to take Golden Tate, and if things go wrong with A.J. Green, I have a very solid floor play in New York in Golden Tate.
Golden Tate is
my wide receiver 4.
Golden Tate is like he's the veteran wide receiver with a young QB with injury risk to Evan Ingram, to Sterling Shepard. So if it's just Darius Slayton and Golden Tate out there like it was last year, Tate will be fantastic. I have no doubt about it. He can still take him to the house. I remember, he was eating even against like the Patriots last year in garbage time. So I like Golden Tate. I think he's kind of getting criminally slept on. A massive receiver run happened here after you grabbed Tate. It was Anthony Miller, Phillip Lindsay, and then all wide receivers rest of the way until it came back to you. So hopefully you weren't waiting for anybody to fall there, because it went Henry Ruggs, Rashad Perriman, Preston Williams, Mecole Hardman, Mike Williams, Jalen Reagor. And now it's the 10:05. You're here in the 10th round. Are you looking to handcuff anybody? Are you looking to go ahead and grab a quarterback?
I am not. Well, Carson Wentz is there, which is tempting. We said it. Here he is in double-digit rounds. If you wait, you can get a quarterback that has top 5 upside. So I'm not going to take Wentz here. I'm going to do something that I think might piss you off a bit, and I'm going to take Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst and Tyler Higbee are both top 7 tight ends for me this year, and I think the upside for both is top 5, potentially even top 4 if things go right. Oh my gosh, this thunder's getting out of control. It's like someone is just banging on my window. So if you're watching, you might have seen me get a little startled there. But where was I? Yeah, Hayden Hurst and Tyler Higbee have a ton of upside, but there's also a situation for both where the wheels fall off. And if I lock up both, I'm doubling my chance that one of them pays off as that late round, or even mid-round in Higbee's case, tight end winner that helps you get to your playoffs and championships. So I'm going to lock in Hayden Hurst. He's an incredible value here in the 10th round, and I'll go ahead and wait on quarterback.
That does really piss me off, because I was hoping Hurst would fall to me here.
It was justified, though. It wasn't just to spite you, Steph. Like, that's something, me, I truly would have done that in a normal draft, even if it wasn't head-to-head.
We've been talking about, the multi-tight end strategy, and you're just destroying me with it here. You got both of your guys, too, Higbee and Hurst.
It's exciting.
Yeah, that probably feels good. It's like, what are the odds that one of them hits? It feels pretty nice, especially for, not getting a Kelsey, Kittle, Ertz, Andrews type of name there. So you got 2 guys that if one explodes, and when tight ends explode, they explode. They're if they don't just come out of nowhere and then break out for, they break out to be the 8. They break out to be a top 4 or 5 option, like Andrews, like Waller last season. So it's probably not what I would have done, but I don't mind it. And now I'm looking at running back, Kerryon Johnson, Marlon Mack, Latavius Murray, Duke Johnson, Darrell Henderson. At wide receiver, Curtis Samuel, N'Keal Harry, Robbie Anderson, Alan Lazard, Brandon Ayuk, Sammy Watkins, Deshaun Jackson, Paris Campbell. A lot of flyer wide receiver names that I like here. I am still okay to wait on QB. I don't know if it's just this mock where everybody's going quarterback late, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds left, and there's still plenty of great quarterback names.
Well, we're the only 2 teams without a quarterback, so
that feels great to just wait. I'm not going to pull an early pick on Carson Wentz when I could literally grab Matt Stafford in the next round, even Cam Newton, even a Big Ben, a Joe Burrow later on. So I'm going to take –
all right, so where are you going here?
Man, I'm going to go ahead and grab – it's a big upside shot, but I think I'm going to go and grab Deshaun Jackson. I think I'm going to reach for him here.
All right.
I don't care about ADPs at this point in my draft. I'm just looking for who are the biggest dart throws, who are guys that can take me from a good team to a great team if they pan out. When Deshaun Jackson was healthy last season for, 2 games, he was great. We know Carson Wentz can sling it. Who knows? Maybe Carson Wentz even falls back to me here again, and I can get a little stat going with Jackson and Wentz. So I'm going to grab D-Jax. It doesn't feel great, but I don't think any pick feels great
who
at
cares?
this point.
10th round, I don't mind that flyer. I think that's a fine pick. If you're going to take a shot, I'd rather have Deshaun than some of these guys that went after him, Robbie Anderson, N'Keal Harry, Curtis Samuel. So you're back on the clock. There's those receivers I mentioned did go, Anderson, N'Keal Harry, and Samuel. And we also saw from 49ers defense, Antonio Gibson, Zach Moss, Jared Cook, and Kerryon Johnson go off the board. So Wentz is there, Steph. Are you going to go ahead and lock in quarterback? I will tell you, Wentz will not make it back to you if you do not take him here.
No, I don't want him. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and grab my first tight end and Rob Gronkowski. I'm going to take the upside shot.
Oh, snap.
We were talking about it the other day. Like,
Gronk spike.
you almost gave me goosebumps when you were talking about, imagine the Buccaneers are in the red zone and they line up with Gronk, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin on the line of scrimmage.
That's dangerous.
It's nuts. Not to mention they still have some other tight ends there that are big body guys that have had their moments. So I'm going to grab Gronk here as just a massive upside shot.
We can mention him by name, Steph. OJ Howard. It's okay
don't
to
say that. Don't say that. You give me the heebie-jeebies. I'm going to take Gronk. It's an upside shot. Not much more analysis to really make here. If he's great, he's great. Everything we've seen about Gronk on a football field is that he's great, probably the greatest tight end of all time. So if he somehow returns to that, if he feels, healthy, rejuvenated, ready to go, we got skinny Gronk out here. He's not eating Tide Pods anymore. Maybe that's a win.
That is a win. So after Gronk went Marlon Mack, and I guess some of these algorithms haven't quite updated yet because Darius Geis went at the 11:07. I think safe to assume that won't happen, but gives me Carson Wentz here in the 11th round, back of the 11th round. So there it is. You wait on your quarterback. You end up with Carson Wentz in the 11th round. I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm going to lock it in. He's got top 5 upside. Hopefully has some healthy weapons this year with D-Jax, Jalen Reagor coming in, and then obviously the tight ends. So after Carson Wentz, we saw a little tight end run, Austin Hooper, then Latavius Murray, Noah Fant, TJ Hawkinson, and then handcuff time, Darrell Henderson, Tony Pollard, Boston Scott, and Duke Johnson. So I'm back here at the 12:05. For the sake of time, I'm going to try to make this quick. There are some tight ends left for you, Steph. I'm going to be interested to see who you take. AP is here. I'm not interested in AP.
No.
I want an upside guy at this point in the draft. So I'm going to go ahead and lock in Chase Edmonds. He's one of those high-value handcuffs. If something was to happen to Kenyon Drake, he could be a league winner. So I'm going to go ahead and lock in Chase Edmonds.
Yeah, he's the last one. That's like if is
maybe Justin Jackson.
Maybe that doesn't feel good, especially with Joshua Kelly coming in. And I mean, this one's easy for me. We've talked about it. It's the late round value at quarterback, and it's Matt Stafford who's here. Still a lot of upside shots at tight end that I'm willing to take in my last round. I know at this point we've talked about it, so I'm not going to talk about it again. But the multi-tight end approach in your drafts is really where I'm leaning. And I know you are as well, where you can just spread out those chances. Grab yourself multiple lottery tickets. You're probably going to cut your last couple picks anyways. Might as well make them tight ends that could explode and have massive breakouts. So I'm going to go Stafford and then see who's left for me at tight end after this pick.
So after Stafford went Nyheim Hines, Justin Jackson, A.J. Dillon, Dallas Goedert, Tannehill, Mike Gesicki. I knew you probably would have loved to take a shot on him, or Johnny Smith, who also went. And then Aaron Rodgers was snuck in there as well. So some of those guys went. So now you're really staring down this decision between, do you want to take the double tight end shot or do you want to take the quarterback shot? I know you and I have both talked about liking Danny Dimes, Joe Burrow, even Cam Newton. And then at the tight end spot, we're looking at Jack Doyle, who's not as much of an upside play as he is more of a security blanket at tight end. And then there's guys Blake Jarwin, Ian Thomas, and then on down some deeper names. But Steph, are you still looking tight end here, or are you going to pivot?
I think I am. I don't feel great with my running back depth. It's Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, Jonathan Taylor, Mark Ingram, Alexander Madison. And one of those is a handcuff, and I stacked my own handcuff. It's not like I did what you did, which I thought was smart, which is grab somebody else's handcuff and Chase Edmonds. So I'm not in love with that, so that does make me consider running back here. All the names are pretty gross, and I know they're still going to be there on waivers. Like DeAndre Washington, to me, is a very interesting one. I've grabbed him in a few places. And I'm surprised you didn't grab him as a handcuff to CEH. I think he could take more volume than we really want him to as fantasy players in the Chiefs' backfield. We saw him do really well last year when Josh Jacobs was out on the Raiders. So that's an interesting one. Who else was here? I mean, Gio Bernard is another handcuff. They're all gross. Who I'm actually going to take. I'm not even going to take a defense with this last pick just to see you still there. Then I'm going to go with Brandon Ayuk. Just who is a guy who could be the wide receiver one with the 49ers, one of the highest scoring offenses in the league last year. We all know they made it to the Super Bowl. George Kittle did not get surgery. People aren't talking about this. George Kittle did not get surgery on his shoulder. He is a very high risk of re-injuring that. If he goes down, I don't know where the ball is going to go in the passing game with Jimmy G. And Jimmy G's coming out and he's saying he feels great. So there's rumors that he might pass a little bit more. So with all that's going on, I'll take the guy that they invested in the first round. A lot of people don't remember that. Brandon Ayuk is a first rounder, and I'm going to grab him here as just another dart.
He's the one that's not getting talked about at all. He's the only one in the first round that's not getting talked about at all. So I like the upside shot, Steph. It might take him a couple weeks to get going, but who knows if he comes out week 1 with Debo out and can put up a big week, maybe like Terry McLaurin did last year. He could be the hot waiver wire pickup, and you just beat everyone to the waivers. So after him, when Baker Mayfield and Michael Pittman. Let's see, I'm on the board for one more pick before my defense, and I got 2 tight ends, so I'm not looking there. I feel good at my other positions, so I'm going to go with a quarterback, I think. There's receivers I like deep shots on, like James Washington.
Are you going to handcuff CEH?
I'm not. If CEH goes down, even if it's DeAndre Washington, I'm kind of screwed anyway, so I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to go with – it's a good thought. If this were a real league, I might consider DeAndre Washington, but who's to say he's even the guy? Darwin Thompson's there. I think DeAndre Washington, who knows? I could pick him up, week 2 or 3 off waivers potentially once we see how things start shaking out, unless someone else scoops him up. But I think I can wait there. I'm much more intrigued by some of these quarterbacks. I'm going to lock in Daniel Jones. I've talked about him a lot as an upside play this year, and I want to see what he does. If he comes out, I know he's got a tough schedule to start the season, but if he comes out and starts lighting it up, he could be a league winner. So I'm going to lock in Danny Dimes just to see what happens. And with this last pick, I'm going to have a defense, but we'll see who makes it back to me here.
Feels good with the Carson Wentz, Daniel Jones stack. I like that for you.
Not bad. Going heavy NFC East. They're playing that Cowboys defense twice a year, so that should be fun. And then after Daniel Jones, when Darrington Evans, Paris Campbell, Damian Harris, and Devontae Freeman. So now I'm here with my defense. Who's there? I'm just going to lock in. Okay, Bears D is there. They got a lot of playmakers. I'm just going to lock in the Bears. And that is my draft.
Nice. And after you took him, it was Rams D and Jamal Williams. I just want to see, just as an exercise of, out of curiosity, who's still here. At quarterback, Cam Newton is still there. I should have just waited. Should have just waited to my last pick.
Last round. Yep.
With other most leagues, there'll probably be a couple more bench spots in here. We only did 6, so if you have more, maybe you do look at those names a little earlier because you're not gonna have the luxury. But Allen Lazard is interesting. Hunter Renfrow for the safe option. We've talked about deep sleepers like James Washington, Randall Cobb, Steven Sims, John Ross. Ooh, I like all those guys there. But I'm gonna take my tight end shot. And it's really a guy I haven't taken very much at all. Usually I would go Blake Jarwin in this situation, but I do like diversifying here with Gronk. I'll grab Irv Smith. And he's a guy that I'm rising on significantly.
That's crazy.
And here's the thing. There's just a world where
call your shot.
He's the wide receiver too for the Vikings on a Vikings team that I think is going to throw the ball more. If Justin Jefferson doesn't just break out immediately, maybe it doesn't feel as good as grabbing Jarwin there, but it's just a lottery ticket. We'll see what happens. If he sucks, I'll drop him, move on. I probably would have grabbed the Eagles there because they have an easy early season schedule. They face the Redskins or the Washington football team, in week 1 here. Alex, how you feeling about your draft?
I actually like it a lot. My running backs feel solid with CEH, Josh Jacobs, Montgomery, Ronald Jones, and then the flyer on Chase Edmonds late. My receivers are Amari Cooper, Tyler Lockett, AJ Green. Tons of upside there, and then Golden Tate. In tight end, I got Higbee and Hurst, 2 guys I'm super excited about, and then got Wentz and Danny Dimes at quarterback. So I feel like I have a great roster, a lot of upside as well. And if a couple of these guys pan out, this is the type of roster that could win a championship. So I actually love my team. There's a couple things that could have gone differently.
The Higbee
could have done a little bit better. Drafting from the 8 spot can be tough, but all in all, I'm pretty pleased with it.
Nice. I actually like your roster more than mine. I got Matthew Stafford at quarterback and then Dalvin Cook and Nick Chubb. That feels really good with those two.
That's great.
Two elite running backs at the beginning. And then I got Jonathan Taylor stashed. I got Mark Ingram. I got the handcuff at Alexander Madison. If I had to change one thing, it probably would be the Jonathan Taylor pick. I could have grabbed another upside wide receiver and then taken a DeAndre Swift. I may even consider, this might be a hot take, DeAndre Swift over Jonathan Taylor.
No.
Dude, I'm saying,
come on.
I feel way better about, these are the top 2.
The Lions running game. You feel better about the
No,
Lions
but I feel better
game?
about Kerryon Johnson than I do about Nyheim Hines and Marlon Mack. that Taylor has to compete with. So that's why I would put Swift over him if I did.
I think Carry-On's better than the combo of Hines and
Really?
Mack. We'll talk about this later. We'll settle this later.
We got a lot of good topics. I'm going to put these off to the side.
I like your squad a lot. I like your squad a lot. Yeah, this was good. We found some disagreements here, so we're going to have to get into these. We got some bones to pick for sure.
How do you feel about the Gronk Irv Smith combo? And then how do you feel about the receiver core? Kenny Golladay, DJ Chark, Hollywood Brown, Sterling Shepard, Deshaun Jackson, Brandon Ayuk.
I like the receivers. Kenny G, DJ Chark, Hollywood. That's a great stack. And then Sterling Shepard and D Jackson Ayuk for some upside and some depth isn't terrible. Not a huge fan of the tight ends. I think Irv is nothing but a flyer, and it's going to be a guessing game with Gronk with touchdowns. I don't think his volume is going to be enough to be really a week in and week out starter. But like you said, you take your lottery tickets at the tight end, and if one of them pays off, you're good to go. So, and then you look at who didn't even get drafted. Like Jarwin in this league would be on waivers. Jack Doyle, Ebron, Herndon, Ian Thomas. So as you go, you're going to be able to stream. So I don't mind it one bit. I like your roster. I like your running backs a lot, and I think in this one I prefer my team a little bit more, which isn't always the case. Sometimes I do give you the credit, but I do like your team a pretty good amount. I really do.
I think you won this one, but guys, let us know if you're still watching. First, I'll say thank you. You're incredible. And please give us a subscribe and a like if you do enjoy what we're doing here. But let us know in the comments if you have any questions, if you disagree with any of our picks. We'd love to hear your all's feedback. We can break those down on our next episode. And let us know in the comments whose roster you like more, mine or Alex's. But thank you all again so much for listening and watching, and we'll see you next time. Peace.